Today I'm going to be taking a walk down memory lane and discussing, was the Mad Show actually good? A show that was purely chaotic and was trying to parody every single thing that it possibly could, basically a little brother to Robot Chicken, being more watered down so it couldn't make any adult jokes, but still, I remember thinking it was pretty positive. I remember thinking it was a little bit funny, but genuinely nobody talks about this show. Is that for good reason? Was it a bad show? Was it a good show? That's what we're going to try to decide today by taking a look at two of the best episodes, two of the worst episodes, and two random episodes to decide, was Mad actually good? And if you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe. At 50k, I'm going to be cosplaying as Pops from Regular Show and doing the Milk Challenge. And if you want a place where you could hang out, talk about your favorite shows, movies, games, my Discord will be in the description. Now let's take a look at the Mad Show. Starting us off, taking a look at one of the best episodes in the series with a 8.7 on IMDb, we have World War ZZZ and Shazam and Cat. And I actually really like the formula of the show. You get your first big parody for like the first 5 minutes, followed up by 20 different parodies, and then your last main parody for like the final 3 minutes. And I actually think that formula works. Going into the show, just turn your brain off and just want to see some parodies about some garbage, and you'll love it. I enjoyed it. I thought the comedy was great. So our first parody that we were looking at is obviously a World War Z parody, and it's just literal like cutouts of Brad Pitt and his family's faces just taped on to some 2D characters, and they do that thing where it's like the open mouth talking where like the cardboard moves. I love it. It looks hilarious, especially because it's Brad Pitt, so that obviously makes it a little bit better. And so we just get a bunch of parodies for the World War Z movie. Like, everybody's screaming like at the beginning of the movie because the zombies are invading, except they're actually just at a drive-in theater and they're watching a new Brad Pitt movie. Yep, there's a lot of Brad Pitt roasting in this one. And so, he gets invited to work on another zombie movie, because what does today need more of? Zombie movies. Obviously, there's never enough! There's never enough! And that's when we get to the actual World War Z parodies, because he's actually in the movie now. And one of my initial favorite ones is, you remember that scene in the movie where they're going to whatever country, I don't remember, and they have that doctor guy who's like, oh yes, I know exactly how to stop the virus, we just have to get me alive and out of here, and he like trips and shoots himself in the head on the ramp. I was always like, really? This is your guy? This is your guy, and now he's just dead, gone, vamoose, just never coming back. I always kind of hated that part of the movie. I thought it was so dumb. But the parody here, the way they handled it was so much better, because the like main agent guy, he's describing the mission they're about to go on, and he's like, okay, when I say everybody get out of this plane, we get out of this plane, and the doctor's like, okay bro, and just jumps out of the plane just while it's still in the air, and that's how he dies.
When the plane lands, we'll step out and look for clues. You're the boss. Yahoo!
I thought that was so fucking funny. That was actually such a better way to handle that situation, because I saw the scene coming and I was like, I wonder how they're gonna handle the doctor dying scene. And him just jumping out of the plane. God, that was so funny, dude. But either way, we then cut to them in Jerusalem with the giant walls and the zombies climbing up the walls with like the pyramid thing. And the guy who's running it, Brad Pitt's all like, how did you know how to prepare for this? And he's like, well, you know, I saw the Smurfs movie, and I got really worried about Smurfs, so I bought really big rat traps. And then a Smurf just gets caught in a rat trap. Kind of unrelated, but whatever.
And when I heard there would be a Smurfs too, I bought 1 million rat traps.
Ah, I've been smurfed!
And then the zombies climb up the walls. We get a bunch more World War Z shenanigans. None of them were really as funny until we get back to that lab where Brad Pitt is initially like, oh, if I give myself an illness, then nothing will be able to get me. And so he tells the doctors to start eating garbage and licking birds and watching Brad Pitt movies. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I set up a film festival showing all my movies. Really? Not even Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
And then it cuts to Brad Pitt outside one of his own movies. And he's just like, well, you're all sick. Come on, not even Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Come on, you know what comedy is. That was pretty good. that's pretty much it for the Brad Pitt parody. I enjoyed that aspect of the episode a lot, especially it's probably a lot more fun if you've actually seen the movie. If you haven't seen World War Z and you have no idea what I'm talking about, then none of this is funny to you. But that was great for me. And then we get to our 20 different parodies, starting off with Can a Horse Fly a Helicopter? This one isn't even a parody, it's just a horse trying to fly a helicopter and then he crashes. The answer is no! Or should I say, nay? Are you laughing? Are you subscribing? You should like and subscribe. You should. That'd be cool. Anyway, then we have, I had to write all these down because there's so many. Oh yeah, Pacific Rooms, a Pacific Rim parody in which they defeated all the monsters, and because they just had a bunch of giant robots, they start renting all of the robots as apartments. How exciting is that? Wow. That one was okay. It was kind of boring. I didn't really care for it, but I got the joke. And then there's Aliens shooting down a satellite for Cartoon Network. That one was whatever. The Man of Steel parody was kind of funny, because I was just thinking, okay, they're gonna go hard with this one, and they did the Man of Surreal instead of the Man of Steel, so it would just be like random art references, like Superman is just sitting there, and Lois Lane is all like, "Oh, I love that S on your chest, big boy," and he's like, "It's not an S, it's a snake." And it's turning into a tree, and it just becomes like the greatest artwork you've ever seen, because it's surreal.
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S. It's a snake. Made of trees.
Yeah, that one was also just okay, unfortunately. There's The Hobbit parodying groundhogs. That was interesting. He goes outside and he sees his shadow, so there's gonna be 6 more weeks of dragging these nuts across the screen. That one was definitely just okay. Then we get to one that I actually enjoyed a little bit more, Spy vs. Spy. Yes, I'm gonna go over every single parody because these are fun. Spy vs. Spy is a classic. I think it's in every single episode. It's just this white spy versus this black spy, and they're trying to brutally murder each other. This one wasn't as exciting as I was hoping for the best episode of Mad, but it was definitely okay. It's just the white spy just knocking on an elevator, just banging on an elevator for like 30 seconds, and then the elevator door collapses on him and he dies a horrible, brutal, slaughtering death. No, the white spy! It was tragic. It was so sad. But that was it for that Spy vs. Spy. Then we get to our final main parody of the episode, Shazam and Cat, which is a parody of Sam and Cat, and I didn't really like it at first, but God, does the ending make up for it. First off, they really made fun of Ariana Grande and the way she sounds as Cat, because they genuinely made her sound like, I don't know, a 400-pound woman attempting to use the stairs for the first time in like 5 years. She's like, hey, Sam, what are you doing here? I can't breathe.
20 seconds into this sketch, I don't think I have the breath support to maintain this character.
That's actually how they made her sound, and it's pretty funny. I can't even lie. And they also play into the fact that Sam talks like a hood rat from the 1950s. That's like her main thing that episode. And then Shazam himself, he was okay. The main joke for him was just that if he says Shazam, he turns back into a kid, and they keep tricking him into saying Shazam. So he was kind of whatever. I didn't really care. But either way, there's this evil doctor who wants to destroy the satellite, and that's where the episode really picked up for me, or the parody, because he's all like, they're like, why are you doing this? He's like, I'm not even a villain. I just want to stop Dan Schneider from making awful shows. He's evil. And, you know, looking back in hindsight, they couldn't have possibly known. They had no idea what was going on. But hearing Ariana Grande say, but wait, how evil could Dan Schneider even be?
Dan Schneider? How evil can he be?
He's not that evil. Yes, he is. He's a bad person, Cat. He's a bad person. Yeah, and then it even cuts to Dan Schneider being all fat, and he's like, I must make a new show where I can touch more kids. I'm sorry, I was just trying to help people. Oh, please send me 3,000 more feet images of children. Yeah, Dan Schneider is an evil, evil person. But either way, in hindsight, this is really hilarious when you consider everything that Dan Schneider has done, and it's just parodying the fact that Dan Schneider might be evil as a joke, but it turns out it's very real. Safe to say that that got me chuckling a decent amount, not gonna lie, that was really funny. So either way, they destroy the satellite to get rid of Dan Schneider, and that is the end of the very first episode of Mad that I've watched in 10 years. Was it good though? That is the question that we're going to be trying to answer here today. Was it good? Was it entertaining? Yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. Some of the parodies didn't land, but they were kind of like nice breathers compared to everything else that was going on. I really did like the World War Z parody. I thought it was really fun. If it wasn't a movie that I had seen, I probably wouldn't really know what was going on and wouldn't find it funny. Also, if you haven't seen a lot of Brad Pitt movies, then you probably wouldn't enjoy it. But for me, it was great. It was great. I was having a great time. The Shazam and Cat parody was really funny just because of horrible real world implications, but hey, if it amplifies it, it amplifies it. And then I liked the Superman one and the Spy versus Spy. The majority of them were good. The majority of them were funny, just some of them were more grounded than others. So if I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would probably give this a solid 9 out of 10. I think it has a little bit of everything, a little bit of emotion, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of a breather in between all the comedy. There was just a bunch of different clips. I think if you were watching this Mad episode, there would be something for everybody to enjoy, unless you're just a social parasite and you live under a rock and don't watch any forms of media. If you don't know what World War Z is or Sam and Cat is, then you would probably hate like 6 minutes of this episode. But I'm assuming because the populace is very informed and you like to go out and explore things, then you would probably enjoy this, because I definitely did. Taking a look at one of the worst episodes in the series with a 5.7 on IMDb, we have the Blunder Games / the Poopseidon Adventures. And the first parody of this is a Hunger Games parody, but it's combining all those like dystopian teen future movies into one, like Narnia, Hunger Games, Twilight, all those. And I thought it was really funny. It's a really unique concept. The opening is hilarious with Katniss being like, I volunteer as tribute. And then the girl from Narnia is all like, no, actually, I should volunteer because Narnia was a banger. And then a lion just comes out of nowhere and eats her. That was hilarious.
Movies. Volunteer. Too late. You've already proved a failure. Oh, well, then.
That got me so off guard. And so they all go to the Capitol to compete in these games against each other, and whichever dystopian teen movie is last is the winner. And I really like this carriage scene where it cuts to Twilight and Jacob is the one that's pulling it, the wolf guy from the Twilight movies, and he's all like, oh, this is so embarrassing. That was really funny. I enjoyed that a lot. They eventually do go into the games, and there's this random guy who's just like, did I go up the wrong elevator? I was just looking for parking. And then the lion eats him too.
4. Did I get on the wrong elevator?
That was also really funny. The lion kills just out of nowhere are hilarious. That's all I need in life. And then the only other thing that I really liked in the Hunger Games parody was Jacob turning into a wolf and attacking Edward, and Jacob being like, we're on the same team, and Edward being like, I know, and eating him anyway.
We're on the same team, you dope.
Yeah, I know.
That was good. I guess I just like people dying to animals, apparently. Yeah, so the opening parody got me to laugh a couple of times. I consider that a absolute plus. And then we get to our just random parody nonsense, and the first one really got me to laugh. I thought it was hilarious, where it's just a bunch of old people sitting around. Satan comes out of nowhere, and he's holding deviled eggs, and they're all like, let me guess, deviled eggs? The parody, the joke, oh my god. Wow, that was hilarious.
Sorry I'm late. I was busy making my
Deviled eggs!
What? Do I make these too often?
That was really funny. And then there's one all about sea gorillas. You know how you could get sea monkeys and they don't do a lot? You could get a sea gorilla, which is just a big monkey. Yeah, that one was kind of interesting. It was well thought out, at least. There's another parody where it's like the dog found somebody in a well. The dog leads this lady to a well, and then the dog just pushes her in the well for no reason. She's just like, that's 2 of them. Why? I don't know. Was it funny? Yeah. Pretty hilarious. I think so. There was also a pregnant Harry Potter thing that was weird. It was like Expecto Petroleum, where when they're creating like their spirit animals or whatever, they're using magic. It's like how to prepare for when you're expecting, just I guess making fun of pregnant people, but at the same time making fun of Harry Potter. The only scene that I really liked out of this was where this lady's like, it's okay. No matter what it is, as long as it has 4 legs, it'll be good. You just gotta love it no matter what. And the guy uses magic and it creates a squid and it flops on the floor and she's like, ew, well that's dumb.
No reason to be embarrassed. Never mind, that's really dumb.
It's probably how some people react when they become parents and they're like, oh my god, it's supposed to be cute. And then they throw it in a dumpster. Yeah, I'm looking at you. I know at least one of you has done that, you decrepit son of a bitch. Either way, then we get to the main. Oh wait, no, there was a spy versus spy. I can't forget the spy versus spy because it was actually kind of good this time. The white spy, he's just running on the treadmill enjoying his time, and the black spy, he shows up and he has a dog on a chain, and the dog is trying to get the guy while he's on the treadmill, and he starts running really fast, and the guy unplugs the treadmill. Yeah, white spy just got destroyed in this one, but it was kind of funny, so I liked it. And going into the final parody, I'm not gonna lie, I don't usually do this when I'm watching these things. I've watched a lot of horrible things, but I could not sit through this. I don't know what the Poop Side in Adventures is parodying, but when you open it up and it's just 2 old people just ripping so much ass that I'm thinking that they shit themselves, I didn't want to watch anymore. I really didn't. So I kind of skimmed through it because genuinely the first 20 seconds is just them going just shitting themselves. Why? Who thinks this stuff is funny? Poop and fart humor is like the lowest of lows in the comedy field. Somebody has to greenlight this shit, man. Literally. You have to sit there and be like, yes, that was funny. Whoever said it was funny, it's probably rotting in Dagestan. They're just suffering. But either way, the only thing that I really got out of that last parody that I thought was remotely decent was the death of the Alvin and the Chipmunks. They fall from the ceiling, and I think they all break their necks, and they're never seen again, so I think they all died. But either way, that was a highlight. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. If I was to rate it 1 to 10, I would probably give it a solid 7, you know? There were a lot of really good ones throughout this entire episode. The Blunder Games gave me a couple of good laughs. The Deviled Eggs joke was really funny. Definitely a couple of good highlights here. That last one is really what's holding it back from being any better because, oh my god, that was just so hard to sit through. That last parody, if I was just ranking the parodies, that would be a 1 out of 10. Easily. That was awful. But the majority of it was good, so I'm not gonna say like all of it was bad. It still deserves a decent enough rating. Going into the next best episode with a 8.5 on IMDb, we have First White House Down / McDuck Dynasty. And going into this, I was really hopeful because the first best episode did really well for me. I was having a great time, and this one was a little bit disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of just all over the place. But I did really like the first parody, all about George Washington and the first White House Down. It focuses on Benedict Arnold, and he's all like, apparently he partnered with the cherry trees during the Cherry Tree War. You remember how good old George chopped down a cherry tree? Well, apparently Benedict Arnold, he, was on their side. So George invites him in and he's like, my dear boy, I love you. You could work here, but do not betray us again. And he immediately betrays them again. So George grabs his axes and he starts fighting the cherry trees, and he is saved by none other than Benjamin Franklin. And I feel like the creators of the show, they took one look at Benjamin Franklin and they were like, okay, so how could we make fun of Benjamin Franklin? He was an inventor, you know, he was a lawman, a great political figure. How can we make fun of him? Well, I have an idea. He's a little bit fat. And that's just what they rolled with. They made Benjamin Franklin the type of character that has been living in George Washington's walls at the White House for months on end, stealing pies whenever he could.
For the last year, I've been living in your walls, stealing White House pies.
Why were you?
There's no time to explain.
That was wild. I don't know. I thought that was a little bit mean, but oh well. And so they escape and they manage to get to the swimming pool, and we get a slow-mo of Benjamin Franklin being like, George, why didn't you invite me to your pool? And then they crash in the pool. And I like that there's a horse, a part of the carriage, because the horse's CG of him getting out of the pool was really funny, at least to me. I enjoyed that. And then it's revealed that Benjamin Franklin has been working with Benedict Arnold this entire time with the cherry trees. Oh no, the betrayal! How could you do this, Benjamin? This is now my canon thoughts on Benjamin Franklin. He was living in the White House walls, and he's willing to kill George Washington for the sole purpose of getting on the $100 bill. And the entire end of this parody is just making fun of the fact that the majority of children will think that Benjamin Franklin is a president because he's on the $100 bill, when in actuality, he's not a president. Oh, gosh. Wow. Yeah, it was definitely okay. There were some parts of it that were funny, but I really only liked the exasperated, or whatever word you would say, traits of Benjamin Franklin. That was the funniest parts of it. Like, Benjamin living in the walls? Why did you have to think of that? But I loved it. I loved it nonetheless. And then we get to the parody section of the episode, and I actually think a lot of these were lacking in any enjoyment. There were only a couple of them that I actually liked. There's one... There's one with fish racism. I thought that was kind of funny. It's like that flatfish that lays on the ground, and then another fish comes over and he's like, who did that? Who did that to you? You look stupid. He's like, bro, I'm a flatfish. I'm a flatfish. And then the fish, realizing that he's made fun of him just for the way that he is, he just grabs a hook and kills himself.
Oh. Great timing.
He just puts it in his mouth and he's like, oh, thank God, and gets sucked away, probably to be made into a yummy, yummy fish dinner. That was wild. And then we get another one that I enjoyed, which was Alice and the crocodile. And it's just a crocodile wearing a wig and lipstick walking into a elementary school, and then it cuts to a news segment where it's like, be on the lookout for a crocodile wearing a wig. And then it just shows Allison eating all the kids. That was kind of funny.
We now return you to the sketch already in progress.
I liked that. There's like 20 other parodies in this episode, by the way. Just the majority of them suck, and I'm not gonna bore ya with the nonsense. Even Spy vs. Spy wasn't very good. It's just him painting over a bomb, and then the bomb somehow flies over onto him, and then he kills the other spy. That was okay. It definitely wasn't the best, though, in any way. And even the final parody was also kind of lame. It's McDuck Dynasty, and it's about Scrooge McDuck and his family, and how he lost all of his money, and so he gets a bunch of duck calls, and he starts selling duck calls, and then they start getting hunted by the actual Duck Dynasty members. Oh my God! And then Daffy Duck shows up out of nowhere, and Elmer Fudd, and Daffy's like, you guys are being so despicable. You know, if you guys check out my social pages, you can just let me go. I know I'm a wanted man. And then this random guy shows up and starts beating everybody with a guitar, and then it's revealed to be Bugs Bunny. Yeah. I'm just kind of describing all of this to you because it's not that interesting, at least to me. This final parody did not hold up to my interests or make me want to rewatch this Mad episode, which was kind of disappointing. I'm really hoping the other, bad episodes that I'm going to be exploring are so bad that they're actually good. That's my hopes, because for this being one of the highest rated episodes, it's a little bit sad. If I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would probably only give it about a 5 out of 10. I don't think there's anything inherently bad. I just think some of the segments are a little bit boring, don't hit as hard, and the jokes don't land very well. And in a show like this, where it's all parodies, it's basically all about comedy. If your jokes aren't landing, then I just don't think the jokes were told very well, unfortunately. So yeah, it's a little bit bad, but it has some positives about it. Taking a look at one of the worst episodes in the series with a 5.8 on IMDb, we have Papa/1600 Finn. And the opening parody for this episode, I actually really enjoy. Some of it was a little bit slow, but the concept was really funny. It's parodying the movie Mama, which was a horror movie that I don't really remember. It was probably ass. But either way, the way they decided to go about it was a great idea. The children arrived at the house, and the guy's all like, "They haven't spoken in but a fortnight. Oh, we must care for them and nurture them." And then they see in the distance who has been tormenting them, and it's just Papa Smurf. He's like, "Oh, hey kiddos, hello." And so it's a Mama parody, but with the Smurfs being the horror villains. And I think we get a lot of great scenes with this, with like the parents coming into the room to check on them, and then they see something running at them under the bed, and it's just Papa Smurf emerging like, "Oh, you should really clean under there. La 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 la, sing a happy song."
Jeez. Oh, also, Smurf!
And it's supposed to be really terrifying, really scary, because let's face it, if you were just chilling in your room and you saw a tiny blue creature with a beard going la 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 la, you might be a little bit terrified, or you might just step on it, who knows. But either way, they really play into the horror aspect here, and it gets really funny when Gargamel shows up and he goes into the room to deal with them, and then they open the door and he's just getting beaten and pounded, and then the Smurfs are just getting jiggy with it. Oh, that was funny. I liked that a lot. That was good. And then after that, the parodies kind of get a little bit boring. There was only a couple that I liked in the 20 different ones that they showed. The majority of them were honestly boring, but the main one that I liked was Man Spider, a parody that actually has Stan Lee as the narrator, oh yeah, about what happens to the spider after he bites Peter Parker and he becomes a nerd, a human nerd. What's life like for a spider who has all the weaknesses of being a human? And we get a lot of really good scenes with that.
Witness the lack of romance.
How can you be so blind? You're wearing glasses.
Yeah, but they only covered 2 of my eyes.
Like him trying to attract a woman with like his awful legs. I don't know, it's just really funny, and Stan Lee parodying it, that made it a lot better. That was kind of it for the parodies that I enjoyed in this episode. There really was nothing going on. The big final parody at the end was an Adventure Time parody, and even I thought that was slop. For an IP that literally Cartoon Network has, you'd think they'd be pretty well knowledged in it, like, "Oh, let's make fun of Finn because he's like, oh, Princess Bubblegum. Oh, you're so old, I need you, baby, oh." They could have made fun of that, they could have done something interesting there, but no, they chose to make a random plotline in which Finn's dad is Gale Gilchrist, the current president, and he has to come back to the modern world, and there's just nothing entertaining about it. The Ice King shows up, and Finn keeps beating him up, and he keeps getting yelled at by his dad, so he doesn't want to beat up Ice King, and then Ice King freezes his father, and Finn's like, "Schmouse, ow, that sucks." It's just really boring. Very not entertaining. So yeah, I really only like 2 parodies from this, and even the parody that I did like a lot, I didn't like overly much. So for the first worst episode we're taking a look at, this is pretty bad. Not off to a good start. I can see why it's reviewed really low. If I was to give this episode a 1 to 10 rating, I would probably give it a 3 out of 10. There are some things that I like about it, but those 2 things do not make up for the other 7 minutes that was just so unbelievably boring. Maybe I'm not the target audience, you know? I'm an unk. Just turned 21. My 21st birthday was just a few days ago. But it doesn't mean that these jokes couldn't be funny. They were just told poorly, I feel. Because some of these jokes do make me laugh. A lot. But the ones they decided to show were just kind of whatever. So yeah, very mediocre episode. Heading over to the random category with a 7.1 on IMDb, we have Poblivion and Umbrellamentary. And oh my god, the first parody that we get is so unbelievably funny. It's an Oblivion parody, but man, the stuff they do is just, oh, it's so silly. It opens with Tom Cruise just flying a little aircraft, you know, and he just lands on Wally, brutally kills Wally. That was really funny. Anytime I notice that the show tends to kill someone, it tends to be very funny. I like it a lot. So Wally's dead for a little bit. He does come back after a while, and then he opens this like little porta potty thing, and it's just Po from Kung Fu Panda, and he's like, "I love kung fu. Oh, you should have given me dumplings. Oh." It's so random.
Do you have any food? Huh? And that is for not greeting me with dumpling.
It's so random. My god. And so they go underground, and there's Shifu and Tigress and Crane and Mantis and all them, and it explains that after the Oblivion movie, all the animals had to start talking and doing kung fu. Yeah, okay. Makes a lot of sense to me, at least. And these robots come and they start hunting the kung fu animals. And so Po and Tom Cruise run away. They get in the aircraft and they're just flying away. And then it's just Sebulba from Star Wars. Yeah, everybody's favorite character. He appears for no reason. Don't know why he's there. He just appears to die. He flies into a wall. That was great, I guess. And then they finish the race, they win, and that's it for Poblivion. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. It had my perfect amount of nonsensical humor with the right kind of thing going on. Usually I'm not a fan of humor when it just doesn't make any sense, but when it's Po coming out of a porta potty and talking with Tom Cruise, how could I argue at the genius of that? The intelligence, the comedic prowess. How could I argue that? And then honestly, the rest of the parodies for this entire episode just really sucked. That was a little bit sad. I can't even lie. There's one that I liked, which was about a gated community. You know how there's gated communities where those, actually like rich folk live, where they're like, oh, we just can't let the criminals in. This is a gated community with gators, alligators. They eat people. That's the best way I can describe it to you.
Crime system.
Alligators.
I kind of like that one. I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting, to say the least. And then all the other ones sucked. I liked Spy vs. Spy, I guess, which was only like 15 seconds long. The white spy drowns in a bathroom stall. That was fun, I guess. And then we get to our final parody of the episode, which is all about Mary Poppins, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Oh, I'm so ugly, but I become beautiful when people do what I say. Yeah, her. But Sherlock Holmes is kidnapped, and the substitute is Mary Poppins coming to help. And God, is her intro so funny to where they're like, who can help us? Who can help us? And then she just crashes through the window and just collapses. Oh man, that was really funny.
Hey! Hello,
And then she just keeps messing up the case like over and over again. Like she ruins evidence and then she kills a guy. And then at the end, they're like, we're almost out of time. Sherlock is gonna die. And she's just like, well, when you start making up random words like califragilisticexpialidocious, nobody will notice you. And then she flies away out of a window. And then they're just like, Sherlock is fucking dead. He's fucking dead. Yeah, that was kind of funny. I enjoyed that last one. This episode was decent. I didn't really enjoy the majority of the middle parodies or the majority of the middle jokes, but they were decent. I just didn't really feel like talking about them because there was nothing that really made me laugh, and I was just like, I'm not gonna waste your time just reciting random nonsense. So the beginning of it was really good. Loved Poblivion, and then I really liked Umbrellamentary. That was decent. There were a couple of parodies that I liked, like Gated Community. So if I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would probably give it a solid solid 7. I didn't really like the middle stuff, but I feel like there's a lot of people that would like that stuff. There's a whole thing about dogs driving cars. I just don't think it was my cup of tea personally. I'm not going to knock it just because I didn't enjoy those. I feel like a lot of people would. I just personally wasn't having a good time, and this is also my 5th Mad episode, and I've seen so many different nonsensical parodies. So overall, I think the episode's pretty decent. It's just not my favorite, but a 7 out of 10 is still fantastic. And the final episode that I'm going to be taking a look at with a 6.7 on IMDb is I Am Lorax and Modern Family Circus. And this one starts off really good with a Lorax parody, where I honestly thought Ted was just mentally ill and that was the joke because he's surrounded by truffula trees. It's great. And then his grandma's like, "They lied to you, Ted." And she drops her skin and is just revealed to be a bag of bones.
Like I said, all lies.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. So then Ted goes to see the Onceler, and it's not the Onceler, it's the Wilsler, and it's just Will Smith. Yeah, okay. And apparently Will Smith made so many disaster movies, just apocalypse movies, that he destroyed the entire world, and so now just everything is coming for revenge. And it's really funny because the entire like Cartoon Network catalog comes for Will Smith, but they're zombies. And for people who are missing me making regular show videos, Mordecai and Rigby are there. Whoa! You know who else is excited to see a blue jay and a raccoon? My mom! There you go, that's your little regular show reunion for my channel, huh? It's great, it's great. And he shoots them and kills them. So it was very short-lived, to say the least. And Ted's all like, "Will, you just killed the entire Cartoon Network catalog. Why would you do that?" And Will's like, "Well, I guess I gotta make it even." And then he just shoots in the distance, and it cuts to Mickey and Minnie, with Mickey just being like, "Oh boy, oh Minnie, I love you, girl. You know, I think I might marry you." And then it just, the bullets just hit a chandelier above them and fall on top of them and kill them. Oh.
But we weren't even zombies!
That was wild. That was great. That was a really good opening parody, and then from that point on, it just went because it does a Billy Mays parody, which some aspects of that were okay, like Billy Mays showing off a brand new 99% germ removal, but you just shoot the germ, and the germ is just seen begging for his life. That one was okay. Everything else was just whatever. I didn't really care. Same with all the other parodies, they were just kind of whatever. Even the last one, the Modern Family one, I've never seen Modern Family, so I couldn't really relate to everything that was going on. I had no idea who any of these characters were, or what they were doing, or what they were seeing, so I was kind of just taken out of it, so I couldn't really enjoy it. I could see other people enjoying this, like the writing seemed good, the jokes seemed good. If you knew the characters, maybe I would have been a little bit more invested, you know? So if I was to rank this episode 1 to 10, probably just give it a solid, like, 5 for me. It was definitely just okay. The beginning was really good, and then everything after that was just kind of whatever. So yeah, I think 5 out of 10 is just fine for it. So is the Mad Show actually good, or was it just pure chaotic madness? It's actually really good. There's a ton of episodes of this. I think there's like 4 different seasons, all covering so many different movies and TV shows and concepts that I guarantee you, if you just look through the catalog, if you could find somewhere to watch these, then you would definitely find a specific episode or parody that you would love. And they tell so many different rapid fire jokes that if you just wanted to turn off your brain, just chillax, lay down, and just watch this, I guarantee you'd have a great time. It's definitely just one of those shows where it's just random nonsense, but when the jokes are told well, it lands, and it lands very well. So I'd say this show is definitely very good. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to like and subscribe. You know, I make daily cartoon content, and you don't want to miss it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.